Hello everyone, ElPro, and as you may or may not know, I love tinkering with devices. I do it all the time. Probably one of the first examples that has been posted to YouTube, or my YouTube channel at least, is a Lenovo X140 laptop. I replaced the screen on it, and that was back when I was in middle school. Like so. Be careful when you're doing it up here, because since then my tendencies to take apart devices and just do sketchy mods and all that kind of stuff hasn't really come to an end. I've done a Dell Optiplex 780, a 580, and a 9010. I did fans on 2 of them, and then I put an incompatible CPU in the other one just to see what would happen, you know. All of those videos are on my YouTube channel, ElPro Tech. And in this video, I get to do something similar to this iPod 6th generation. Now, if you don't know by now, Apple has discontinued all the iPods. None of them are available anymore, except the iPod Touch. Secretly, it is. Apple doesn't really talk about it, but it's still available. However, it hasn't really been updated since 2012, at least not properly. It's still very much a 5th gen iPod, except apparently the guts have changed. So the motherboard has a modern processor, so it has an A10 as of right now, the 7th gen, and this is a 6th gen iPod. Now apparently you could possibly swap these in. Now I wouldn't know because, you know, I just don't. But I did my research, and apparently they're identical, so I guess in this video, what I get to do is try to swap in a A10 board from a 7th gen iPod into a 6th gen. Now, getting this board was very difficult, actually. And this is thanks to the fact that Apple makes, you know, buying parts like this really hard to get. You know, they make it really hard to obtain these parts. However, ElPro is not going to be stopped by Apple. He's going to get his parts no matter what. So, getting this was not an easy task. So I guess it's time to go ahead and take apart my iPod and see if I can make it a 7th gen iPod without buying a 7th gen iPod. So here we go. Okay, so I guess it's time to take this thing apart. So thankfully, because it's been out since 2012, there's plenty of guides out there on how to take this apart. Probably the best ones are on iFixit, that's just my opinion. So apparently, what you will need to take apart this iPod is a screwdriver, a card to pry, a suction cup, a little tray to hold your screws, and your mom's hairdryer, and obviously a shirt. So let's bring out my shirt again. This is a different shirt, but screw it. We're gonna need this shirt to go ahead and heat up this iPod to make it so that we can get the adhesive loosened and get the screen off to hopefully put in a 7th gen iPod board. So I guess it's time to do it for real. Alright, so I guess it's moment of truth. I don't know if these boards are exactly the same as the 6th gen, but I guess it's time to find out by taking the screen off this 6th gen iPod. So the first thing I need to do is get all this other stuff off the table and go ahead and break out my mom's hairdryer and my shirt to heat up the iPod so that we can get the adhesive loose. So this is held in by adhesive on the bottom, I believe, and there's like little tabs all around it that hold it in, just like the older iPods. So if you know about the older iPods, if you've ever taken one of those apart, they have like little clips that hold like the front bezel to it. So apparently this has the same situation going on. I don't know. So I guess it's time to fire this up and see what happens. Now, I use the shirt to insulate the heat to make it so that it gets hotter a little bit quicker. I don't know if this is certified by anybody, but it is certified by me. Okay, you'll usually know you're good is the way you know you're good is if this iPod is too hot to touch. So again, you use the shirt as a glove because this will be hot. And then we grab a suction cup, and now hopefully this one's not as hard to do as the LGB40 was, where I needed 3 hands for that one. Hopefully for this one I don't need 3 hands. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I guess the best angle to start would be from the top. Once again, I've never taken apart an iPod Touch before, but I guess you live and you learn, right? This is off, right? Yep. Alright, well, I guess it looks like this is a classic case of not enough heat. So let's break out the hairdryer for a little bit longer this time. Alright, I'm gonna try to leave it for quite a bit longer this time. I don't know, it looks like the little 6th gen iPod doesn't want me to get into it. Well, that's not going to stop me, I'm going to keep trying. So, yeah. Okay. Alright, temp number 1,000,000 here. Alright, so a quick explanation of why I'm going through the trouble of doing all this is because this 6th gen iPod has the same processor as my iPhone 6, and it's really old at this point, and I mean, it works, but I would prefer something a little more modern, like an A10 processor out of an iPhone 7. Therefore, I am going to take apart this iPod. And now I'm going to try... Ooh. Okay, see? I told you, it is possible to do with one hand. Or two, not three. I don't need 3 hands. Ooh, okay. Okay. No, I just lost my gap. Crap. Okay. Let's try again. Okay, there we go. Ooh. Oh, okay, look at this. So, as you can see, okay, so I got interrupted here, but basically, it looks like there is like small tabs in the iPod, like kind of like the old school iPods. You might be able to see right there. Can you see? Yeah, you can see right there. Come on. All right, so there's like little, okay, so I see what's happening now. So there's like small tabs on top of the glue, so you gotta get both off to get the screen to pop off. But as you can see, I got it popped off. All right. Yep. Oh, that's cool. So there's like a frame underneath it. Okay, so I have returned. So this iPod was way too hot for me to continue to handle it, so I just opted to let it cool down. So as you can see, finally we have most of it off at this point. So it looks like all I need to do now is take off a little frame. So here, let me show you real quick. So inside this iPod, there's like a small little frame. You might, yeah, there you go, you can see it there. Here we can just hold it up to the camera so you can see that little thing that goes underneath the display. That's a small frame, and it has the little tabs just like the old iPods would. Here, you can see them very well right here. So those little tabs are what holds the screen in besides the glue. So that's why it looks like opening this is a little tricky. But here we can just, you can see Those little tabs just snaps right off, and there we are. So now we got to remove the little shield right here, and this is held in by a bunch of I think it's a P000 screws. I'm not sure, but I believe that's what it was. So that's what iFixit said. So yeah, that's what iFixit said. Now we're gonna go ahead and take these off. Alright guys, so once you remove all these tiny little screws, you can see they're super small. Let's see this camera. There you go, so tiny little screws. So yes, it looks like a PH000 worked on these. And annoyingly, I have to actually get the board like off, it looks like, to go ahead and get the screen off. I have to continue to hold it until I get the board off, because as you can see all the little connectors are on the back. So that's kind of an annoyance. That's okay. Let me go ahead and take off the middle cover. Okay. And there we are. Middle cover is off. So here, okay, so moment of truth. Is the board the same? Honestly, from what I can tell, let's see, let's lift this up. Oh man, okay. Oh. Honestly, if you ask me, yes, they look identical. Oh wow, yeah, they're identical. Okay. Yep, they're identical. Okay, so I guess it looks like this is gonna happen. We're gonna go ahead and place this board into this iPod. Looks like it will be possible. That's pretty awesome. So how to turn your 6th gen iPod into a 7th gen. And now if you want a little bit of proof that this is a 6th gen iPod, look at the back right here. You see those FCC labels on the bottom? Yeah, 7th gen iPods don't have that. This one does. That's how you know it's a 6th gen iPod. No, it's not it's a 6th gen iPod Touch. So now we're going to go ahead and swap in a 7th gen board and turn it into a 7th generation iPod Touch. Just from the inside, not the outside. I decided to take a closer look at this iPod to kind of develop a plan to try to see how we're going to get this off. And kind of what I can come up with so far is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by removing the bottom port, which is held in by some, this looks like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws? 6, loudspeaker screw as well. So there's 6 speakers holding this thing down. 7, oh my goodness, I can't count anymore. So there's 1, 2, 3, is that a screw? No, that is not a screw. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws. There's 6 screws holding this down, and this will allow me to just kind of lift this up and, oh, okay, I can see that. So you guys see this? There is a small pull tab right here which allows us to take off this battery, and there should probably be another one over here somewhere. So this will allow us to take the battery out, and then that will allow us to get the board out and put in our replacement 7th gen board. Now this apparently has an A10 processor, this has an A8 processor, and hopefully this should make for a very sweet 6th gen to 7th gen conversion. I don't know, let's see how it goes. A nice little tip I have again is to go ahead and use a small flathead screwdriver to lift like stuff off the iPod. This will make your life a little bit easier, and it will probably also not ruin your nails if you happen to have any, which for me, I don't really have many. So just kind of a little tip here for taking apart devices. Another little thing I've noticed as well is this iPod resembles a lot more of this iPod resembles an Android phone quite a bit more than it does a iPhone, which is kind of a good thing because that makes it a little easier to repair. Now, if you don't quite get what I mean when I say that this resembles a Android phone a little more, I'll show you an Android phone. Here is a Samsung S7. So you can see it kind of just take off all these screws, and you take off a little shield thing, and then you just take off the board. And this appears to be a similar process. It's just that this one appears to be a little more modular. Anyhow, what we got to do is start prying at these at the small charging port down here so we can get it out. And hopefully this allows us to get the battery pull tab so we can pull the battery out. So here we go. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I finally got the little charging port out of the way, or just kind of untucked, but now the fun part is going to be to get all this, get at this battery pull tab, which I might be able to do that here. So you can see there's a small battery pull tab right here, and this will allow us to remove the battery without going to explosive measures. So I guess here we are. Let's do it. There, as you can see, we got the battery pull tab out. So this should have loosened the battery. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's loose. Okay. Oh, perfect. Alright, so there's another pull tab underneath it. But it looks like just letting one go is enough to get the iPod up and disassembled. So I guess the next step is to remove the main logic board, which is located on the top here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this card so that the battery doesn't stick back onto the device. So it looks like there's one, let's see, one, I think two, there's like a third screw under the ribbon here. So I guess let's take those off, and then the ribbon should come right out. Okay guys, so I finally got the little 3 screws out, and from here what you could do is very simply just flip up on the board and as you can see there's little ribbons underneath it. So I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the, okay, so what is this one? So it looks like the camera ribbon. Okay, so let's see, let me just think this through. So it looks like there's 4 small ribbons, and looks like they're all the same to the 7th gen board. I don't know if they actually fit though, but I guess time to find out. So let's go ahead and unplug all of these. Now typically you would use a spudger for this, but because my nails are functional, we'll use that instead. Alright guys, so what you just saw me do there was take off a small little antenna cable, which is right here. The small antenna cable had to come off, and I had to remove these other two ribbons along with the rest of these connectors. Now I used a metal screwdriver. If you want to do this properly, you don't want to do that, but because this is ElPro, who cares? As you can see, got the entire 6th gen board out of the iPod. So I guess it's time to put in a 7th gen board and see if it fits. This is kind of the moment of truth to see whether or not I know what I'm doing, or am I just an absolute and utter dumb shit. So yeah. Okay, so here are the two boards side by side. This right here is the 6th gen board. This is a 7th gen board. As you can see, they are like spot on identical. They are not different at all. So maybe, just maybe, this is absolutely 100% doable. You can go ahead and grab your 6th gen iPod, get a 7th gen board. Good luck with that. Apple won't sell you one. And hopefully, and then you should be able to just put into your 6th gen iPod and have a 7th gen iPod without buying one of them. I don't know, I think it's kind of a neat idea, so I guess time to put that in there. Alright, so back over here. I believe the first step to get this right is to kind of get the board back into position and just kind of put all the ribbons back and just kind of fold it back. Yeah, I guess that's what we're gonna do, since it looks like there's just 3 cables left on the case. Okay, so maybe this should work. Okay, I guess pop it back on. Alright, quick status report with the iPod swap. As you can see, okay, let me lift this up carefully. I got the connectors to fully connect. They actually connect, which is crazy. This is a 6th gen iPod once again, and I just put in a 7th, and I'm literally about to plunk in a 7th gen board. So all I need to really do now is put in the 3 screws and put the charging port back where it goes and just pop the battery there. I do have some new adhesive. I'm going to use the same adhesive I used for the clear LGB40 mod. But other than that, it looks like this may actually be possible. And I can't even believe it myself. I can't even speak. Anyways, let's go ahead and get this all situated, and hopefully this powers on. So, fingers crossed. Okay guys, after a little bit of just messing around with this thing, it looks like I more or less got it situated. Just I need to put the screws in. What was in my way, it looked like, was the selfie camera, which is right here. That should be in the screen, but I'll just tuck that in last as like the final step. Other than that, I guess put in my screws, and very soon here I'll have a 7th gen iPod Touch, which is going to be very nice because I need it for a video. Alright, so it's been a very long while now since I've been at this iPod. Thankfully I got all the screws back in. You might be able to see right here. Got 1, 2, 3 screws back in, and I got the rest of the ones down here. There's 2, and then 1. And then other than that, there we have it. I believe this iPod is ready to fire up, and I guess it's the moment of truth to see whether or not this thing will turn on. Fingers crossed. Let's see. Oh shit. Oh shit. Okay. Let's see, will it power up though? There's an Apple logo, but will it boot? Let's see. Okay. And there we have it. I literally just swapped in a 7th gen board into a 6th gen iPod. I can't believe it. Look at this. So, let's see about. Yep. 7th generation iPod. Nice. So just in case you're doubting that I actually did put in a 7th gen iPod board, I'm going to go ahead and grab the 6th gen board right now. I put some electrical tape so you can't, mostly to try to differentiate the board, because I was like, oh, well, which one's which? Well, instead of doing that, I just put some electrical tape just to make sure that I know which board is which. And here we are with the 6th gen board. So now that I have everything basically put back together, more or less, it's time to actually finish assembly with the metal shield and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all these little screws back into the iPod and finally close this up for good, and kind of flex the fact that I have the world's 7th gen, the world's first 6th gen to 7th gen swapped iPod. It's very literal, like a PC. It's almost like a literal PC at this point, and it's crazy to think that this is an Apple product. I literally just grabbed the board off of a newer device, and then I plopped this into my old device, basically turning it into a new device, just like you would a PC. Just swap motherboards, right? And make your PC new again. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get back to reassembly. Alright, good news. iPod Touch 7th gen conversion is actually rather successful. I already started using this iPod. This is a little bit after I took it, you know, after I put it together. But this iPod works. It's basically a 7th gen iPod, and the reason you can definitely tell is because, as you can see, it runs iOS 13.5. The 5th gen iPod does not run beyond iOS 12. So the fact that I'm running iOS 13 shows you that this is a genuine 7th gen board into a 6th gen iPod. Once again, as you will be able to see, it still has the FCC labelings, whereas the iPod Touch 7th generation does not have FCC labelings. But there we are, guys. So I guess you can swap in a 7th gen board into a 6th gen iPod. But you know what this also shows? This shows how much of a half-ass upgrade this iPod generation is. Literally just changing the board, like not even changing the board, just putting a different processor in it and just calling it a day. And honestly, this kind of brings me speculation of whether or not the A10 and the A8 share the same socket, like, you know, like the ball grid array. If they do, then there is maybe a slight chance, I'm not saying that this is true, but just maybe, you could put an A10 processor into an iPhone 6. Just grab an A10 processor off an old iPhone 7, desolder the A8, then plop in an A10, and maybe you can get iOS 13 on an iPhone 6. Now, I wouldn't know that, but the fact that I did this swap kind of brings the speculation that that might be possible. Since, like, from what I could tell, I analyzed these boards I analyzed both of these boards really closely, and I couldn't find very many differences. So this makes me believe that maybe, just maybe, the A10 and the A8 can be interchanged? I don't know. But there we are, guys. 6th to 7th gen conversion on an iPod Touch. Definitely possible. Now, I do kind of plan to maybe try to do a 7th gen conversion on an iPod 5th generation. The actual one with the little loop on the corner. I don't know, that'd be probably fun. So anyways, guys, I hope you found this video entertaining. If you did, please support it. If you would like to try this with your own iPod Touch, honestly, good luck trying to get a board. I got this one off somebody. I don't really want to say who they are because, you know, doing this is not exactly something Apple likes, and I don't really want to get them in trouble, so I will just shut up and not tell anybody. Anyhow, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for some more dank videos. Peace.